My name's Chris Phillip.
My name is Paul Anderson.
My name is Mark Boyd.
Hello, my name is Derek Combs, and I listen to the Blue Army podcast.
My name is Matty Robson, and you're listening to the Blue Army podcast.
There we go, anyway. All preamble is good preamble. The headphones looking a bit wacky. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm just getting the sound set up. Have you been warm?
Oof, very much so. As you know, I do work in the kitchen. And,
I've been working today, then I take it.
Yeah. But thankfully, you get compensated. Like, there's ice cream around. There's cold drinks in a fridge at all times. So there are benefits to it as well. It's not the worst place in the world to be. But how are you coping with the heat, man?
I mean, it's okay. I've only been out briefly to do some work. It is warm, but it's handleable.
Yeah. I mean, it's rough and it's hard being sweaty all the time, but you can get your enjoyable moments out of it, can't you?
I mean, we haven't got the ridiculous heats here that they've got down south, I suppose. Like high 20s is for us, I suppose. It's just a warm summer for us. It's not, we're not kind of like in the areas that are sort of like suffering the most.
Yeah. You're absolutely right as well. I was saying this to someone at work today, actually. I was on the phone to somebody. Anyway, regardless, I was saying, the really, really high temperatures are like down there in the south, and up here it's quite nice. It's quite nice. I mean, it is a lot in the sun. Like, it is a lot. It does feel intense, but like you can still sit outside and have a nice beer and that.
Humid as well. It's quite muggy.
Yeah. I guess so. More so in the evenings. Yesterday was quite nice. Today's been more so muggy, I'd say. Today's been more so muggy. It's just me and you today, mate. So I guess I'll have to introduce you properly, and we'll crack on with the show.
Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah. All right. Mara, how's it going? And welcome back to the Blue Army podcast. This is, of course, episode 76, and it is absolutely my pleasure to introduce to you the numero uno originale gestiono. I'm talking about the first ever guest I ever had here on the Blue Army podcast. I'm talking about Wills McAllister. Willie. How's it going, Wills, man? You all right, dude?
Yeah, it's not going bad, Skelly. Not bad.
You're all right. Do you not like that one? I went to town on that one. There's...
it's kind of, it's all in jest when I kind of like... I throw in a little, oh my God.
I know. It's all in fun and games. And do you know what else is in fun and games, mate? The opening feature of the Blue Army podcast. We've got traditions around here. That's it, mate. You like that one? You set me up for them, mate. We're just a natural double act. We're killing it today, mate. We're going to kill it today. But that means it's time for, of course, the Blue Army podcast joke of the week. Is he having a laugh? I think he's trying to. It's the Blue Army podcast joke of the week. Right, this one is a little bit of a head scratcher. Let's see if it goes over a few people's heads. We'll see. Why couldn't the bike stand up?
Oh, why couldn't the bike stand up?
Because he was too tired.
Yeah.
It's logical. It's one of those ones. I quite liked it.
Yeah,
and again,
it's a thinker.
It's a thinker. It's
clever.
All right, though.
I'll give it. It's clever, yeah.
Yeah, it's a clever one. I like it.
Yeah.
I settled on it. It was all right. Right.
Yeah.
Wills, what we're going to do basically this week, mate, we're going to treat this week as a little bit of a dress rehearsal. And I'm hoping next week I'm going to have an ex-pro on to do an interview. And then obviously the week after that, the season's open and we get more match reports. So this is kind of a dress rehearsal for match reports again, getting us back into the swing of the old school way of doing the show. And maybe we'll change a few things up. We'll see. We'll see how we get along. But maybe we're going to have a bit of a match report about Carlisle United versus Bolton. It was a really good victory. Obviously, we won 3-1. But before we get there, there's a little bit of news to cover. So let's dive on in, as they say. Numero uno, I'll stop. I won't carry on doing that, sorry. The first bit of news that I've got for you is, Kyle Dempsey, obviously playing for Bolton on the weekend against Carlisle, went back to his hometown of Maryport, and he and his dad were attacked. And I'm not condoning this kind of behaviour at all. I'm condemning it. And all I really want to say about it is, if you see ex-Carlisle United players in the street knocking about, just be cool. They're just human beings. Just be cool. I mean, Wills, it is news. I did want to mention something. I don't know if you got any comments about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if someone's kind of like thought they can go up and have a go at him because they see him as someone who's kind of like big time now or something, it's not good behaviour. It's not like Kurt Zuma's rocked up in Maryport.
Yeah, there you go. There might have been a bit of a reason for a Kurt Zuma attack.
Yeah.
In Maryport, as I'm very aware of. But no, it's not the right thing to do. Even if you see Harry McCurdy in the street, just cross the street and you can shout things at them and that. There's no need to. Apparently, there was a lot of damage done. And in my opinion, well too far. Moving on with the news, and we'll carry on the theme of ex-Carlisle United players, and talking about Jared Branthwaite and his season-long loan being announced on his way to PSV Eindhoven, and the possibility of him maybe playing a little bit of Champions League football. Wills, what's your opinions on the Dutch Premier League versus potentially the English Championship? I think maybe a lower Premier League team might have took a chance on him on a season-long loan if that's how I wanted to go. But yeah, we're going to go with the Dutch First Division versus the Championship. And what's the better option for Jared there? Do you think it's a good move?
He's gone to one of the better teams in the Dutch First Division, and as you say, the possibility of Champions League football for him. I take it PSV are in the Champions League. I haven't actually looked.
It's like qualifying rounds, I think.
Qualified. Yeah. So, he'll play against the likes of Ajax as well. There's still, there's the top teams in Holland have some,
It's going to be managed by Ruud van Nistelrooy. Is that a good thing as well?
I have no idea.
Yeah, right.
I don't know what he's like as a manager.
No, yeah.
He makes, it's probably better for him in terms of an experience than going somewhere like Reading or something and kicking about in the Championship for a bit. Go to Holland, play top level football. I don't know how you would rate the quality of football played in most of the Eredivisie versus the Championship. It could well be that the Championship slightly edges it, but nevertheless, you're kind of playing at the top division in a footballing powerhouse.
Yeah, all good points as well. I'll point out that I feel like, if you add up the amount of transfer fees paid from, say, like the English Premier League to the Dutch First Division and the English Premier League to the English Championship, I reckon the transfer revenue, over the course of like the last 5 seasons, they're paying closer to 30 to 40 million for players from Holland, and they're paying 15 to 12 million for players from the Championship. And, normally English players come with that little bit of a premium on them, which are kind of the players that you'd be expecting signings from the Championship to come from. But yeah, I'm saying with that point is that there seems to be some really good talent in that Dutch division as well. Some really good players, some really good competitions, some really good people to embed yourself around. And it does seem like the right move for the young former Cumbrian. And we wish him all the best on his season-long loan over there in Holland. Good for him. more closer to home for us, mates. Paul Simpson came out quite recently, just before the Bolton game, naming a particular Carlisle United youth protege striker. And it's not the one that we have covered quite a lot here on the Blue Army podcast. No. I'm not talking about the Fish. And I'll put in a sound effect there, the old sound effect.
If you can find it.
If I can find it, I'll put in the old sound effect there. But yeah, here he comes. But don't worry, Sam. We're covering a little bit of news here, and we're talking about Nick Bolandio. I think that's how you say it. And he's 17 years of age. He's a second year in the youth squad, and he's kind of came from left field, really. But Paul Simpson seems to be a big fan of him. How do you feel, Wills, in terms of these 17-year-olds getting talked up by the manager? How much should you take to heart? How much should you just be, taken with a pinch of salt? And what does this mean for Sam Fishburn, potentially?
Well, there's more competition, and it's kind of like I think last season when we were talking about the two goalkeepers, players kind of make the step up from youth level if they're good enough, and it doesn't really matter what position they play. So the fact that a striker at the youth level is considered good enough to maybe make the step up is kind of being used a lot in the friendlies, which suggests that Simpson does kind of see him as someone who could actually make the step up before the end of the season. Fishburn's already kind of been there for a season. He's going to have a little bit more experience. He just has to compete. And if we've got a couple of good, prospects who are challenging maybe to kind of like start for the first team, then hopefully they both do well.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because obviously I'm such a fan of Sam Fishburn, and it does feel like he's kind of getting pushed aside. But I wouldn't be opposed to him getting put out on loan if that means, then kind of Nick Bolandio has a natural sort of position to step into as that kind of around the periphery kind of striker coming off the bench maybe, because like in my mind Sam Fishburn is the much more natural number two to Ryan Edmondson, like the physicality of both players, and for somebody to learn off, and I feel like that would be a more natural kind of fit. But then again, Ryan Edmondson's a young man himself, and therefore maybe not naturally a mentor. And Sam Fishburn's maybe only a year younger than him, year and a half, 2 years younger than him. So I feel like maybe the best thing for Sam Fishburn is to go out on another loan and until January maybe, and just see how that goes. But it is hard for me to say that. But it would be a lot of fun to bring back Sam Fishburn watch, whatever we used to call it. And there's the sound effect again, and off he goes back into the ocean. Bye, Sam. We'll see you next time, Sam. Thanks for joining us there. Fish watch, or whatever we used to call the old segment. And more news, mates, is obviously we're going to cover the Carlisle United versus Bolton friendly in a little bit, but some of the news was that Morgan Feeney came off injured very early on in that game. We'll have a little bit of a look at it during the match report, but what we'll cover here in the news is that it wasn't as bad as it looked, and he came off as a precaution, and his pre-season will be carrying on pretty much as normal. So don't worry about Morgan Feeney, and the incident wasn't as bad as it looked, basically, and he's absolutely fine. And somebody else that is absolutely fine, somebody that I saw with my own eyes, because I have spies these days around the Brunton Park pitch, and Omari Patrick was at Brunton Park on Saturday. A lot of people are worried that Omari Patrick's maybe Jones in for a move, trying to get away. And the manager keeps trying to put across the point that he's injured. He was in Fox's lounge. He was taking pictures with a couple of people. And, he seems really happy to be about the place. He's just not ready to be playing yet. So don't worry. We don't think he's going anywhere. And I don't think he's going anywhere. I saw him myself. I don't think he's going anywhere. Should we move on to the match report, Wills?
Yeah, I did what you asked me to do, and I watched the match. So
yeah, all of it. You can't watch all of it. Bloody hell, that would have been
no, quite a long highlight. So I've made comments. Well, yeah, I've kind of like assessed the highlights.
Nice. All right. Well, we normally do it in like a chronologically kind of order, but before we crack on with the match report, I'll go through the Carlisle United starting lineup for their friendly against Bolton Wanderers. In goal was Thomas Hoyley, and the rest of the formation is just a bit middle-y in pre-season, so we're just going to go by the numbers. Owen Moxon, Morgan Feeney, Jordan Gibson, Callum Guy, Ryan Edmondson, Brennan Dickinson, Christian Dennis, John Mellish, Finn Back, and Ben Barclay. So Finn Back obviously getting pushed into the team, and also Ben Barclay again being given the opportunity to start another pre-season game. Is this the starting lineup for the season? Is this strong enough? Does this look good to you? This looks pretty good to me.
I don't know. Yeah, possible. I mean, there's still obviously Amari Patrick. There's still kind of like players who aren't involved at the moment who hopefully will be around.
Yeah, you're quite right. Yeah, there's a couple of players coming back. Maybe Jamie Devitt as well might make an impact and push his way in there. And somebody that's been really impressing a lot in pre-season is Owen Moxon, and he's somebody that I've kind of highlighted in the early stages of the game. Carlisle were under the cosh for the early stages of the game. A lot of chances for Bolton, it seemed, and I was lucky enough to be able to wander out onto the paddock around 5 minutes into the game. I did see the first 2 goals, so I have a little bit of highlight and a little bit of real-life knowledge. Don't want to go into too much detail. In the early stages of the game, it did look like Bolton were giving Carlisle a lot of worries in terms of possession, but when the ball was coming towards the box, mate, it didn't look like we were under that much threat. Most of the Bolton opportunities coming from either outside the area or we're getting squashed out in the box. So for me, that kind of leans itself into a counter-attacking strategy and a tactic. I mean, how did you feel about the opening stages when we looked under the cosh against Bolton? How did the defence react for you?
So like I made a few notes on those early kind of like highlights where it seems to be Bolton attacks. Carlisle's defence seemed to be just a case of like the defence maintaining a shape. A couple of things though, were one with Gibson winning the ball after a Bolton throw-in, but then, I think Dickinson wins the ball, passes to Gibson. Gibson doesn't spot danger behind him and loses it again. Then the highlight after that, more just Bolton passing it around, looking for the breakthrough. And when they do get through, and I can't tell who most of the players are in the highlights because it's quite low res. So a Carlisle defender shepherds the ball back to Holy, but I'm not sure who that was. I've got more Bolton passing around. Yeah, so there's a couple of kind of like bright moments for Bolton. They had one with their right winger, guy wearing the number 21 shirt, beats a couple of Carlisle players before cutting in. There's a couple where Holy does, he's quick off his line and is able to smother or block.
Yeah, the keeper looked really good sort of coming out. There was the early on in the stage of the game, there was the injury to Morgan Feeney, and I feel like that's a defender you're talking about, maybe ushering the ball back, and you can see Hoyley like really waving his hand for there to be some kind of assistance on the pitch. And before the game, Thomas Hoyley was getting pictures with some of the fans. He looks to be really settling in here at Brooklyn Park, becoming quite the favourite, and he looked really concerned for his teammate there. So more accreditation for the characteristics of what is surely to be a wonderful, very tall, friendly giant of a signing. But yeah, Carlisle did look like they were happy to soak up the attack from Bolton. There was some good play from that right winger, like you mentioned, but it didn't look like at any stage Carlisle were really threatened until after we scored the goal. Sorry, go on. Yeah,
I think like Bolton were a little bit wasteful or too patient on a few occasions, where just kind of passing it around quite a lot, looking for some sort of breakthrough, and a couple of them that just kind of like take a really poor shot in the end that doesn't really trouble the keeper. But because you don't have the context of seeing what came before all those highlights, you don't know, like, do we just have constant Bolton attacks because that's kind of like what the game plan of both teams is going to be, or are Carlisle not in control of the midfield enough, and that's why Bolton keep being on the attack?
Yeah,
it's hard to tell without seeing, you're only seeing the highlights after the attack started. So it seems like kind of Bolton had the upper hand, but don't know what the context of that is. Whether that's something that we should be criticising Carlisle for letting them have all those attacks, or whether that's just kind of part of the game. Sit back, contain them, let them pass it around, and then shoot from outside the area.
It felt like they were very sort of like happy to deal with Bolton outside of the box, and when they were in the box, they were very quick to quash them out, and it seemed very sort of like easy to see who was maybe assigned to who, or maybe it's a zonal marking system. But it looks like it's working, is what I'm trying to say. It looks like it's working, and the point's getting across from the coach to the player about how he wants the team to defend, and maybe a point that didn't get across straight away for Bolton is how they wanted their number 5 to defend. And it was really odd, actually, for me. I was watching right from basically the touchline when the first goal went in, and from that moment I was keeping an eye on that number 5. And to be fair, he played a very similar ball that was caught by Carlisle a couple of moments before the opportunity came for the goal, and he looked very unsure. But for some reason, the goalkeeper kept going to him, and after the mistake, the goalkeeper was almost like orchestrating him where to pass the ball. Once he passed it to him, he's like, pass it left, pass it right, pass it. And the Bolton manager gave that instruction to the goalkeeper to sort of like help him out, help him with the communication kind of thing. So they were determined for this number 5 to be a ball-playing defender. And I don't know why, but I mean, this wasn't the only mistake that he made. And the mistake that I'm talking about now is it's a poor ball. He had plenty of time. He could have gone far with it. He could have gone back to his goalkeeper with it. But for some reason, he tried to play not even a clever ball into the midfield that was easily cut out, because it was closer to Owen Moxon than it was to his own player. Easily cut out by Moxon. And I mean, he was like a rat up a drain pipe, mate. He was fantastic. His reaction on the ball, nice little 1-2 touch before he plays the ball into the path of Ryan Edmondson. And Ryan Edmondson did have the opportunity to square it. There was somebody in the middle. It would have been an easy finish, but he had the confidence to do a really nice finish. And I feel like that speaks volumes. And what also speaks volumes is that he looked straight down the camera lens and gave it that weird little hashtag logo that he likes to do for some reason. I noticed all those things, mate. And my question to you is, what would you do, and what did you like to see out of your striker in that position when there is the opportunity to square it?
No, I want the person leading the line to be the sort of player who'll take it on himself and, just coolly slot it home like Edmondson did there. You've got to have confidence in his own ability. And
that's very cool.
Yeah, there's a time to square it, but you want your main striker to, if like it's even 30% better chance for him to have it than and 70% better. That's really badly explained. If it's even like if like Rich is the best decision, even if he's not the player in the best position, if he's a good striker and he's got the confidence that he can finish from there, because you can screw up an attempt to pass it.
I thought it was impressive. I thought it was impressive the way that he took on the chance. He had a lot of confidence to do it, and a lot of confidence in celebration as well from Mr. Edmondson. Now, the second goal came a couple of moments later, but there was more mistakes being made by the number 5. And like I said, it was very clear. It became very clear that was their game plan going forward. And if any Bolton fans are listening to this, I'll be very worried if that is your game plan going forward, for that number 5 to be a ball-playing defender. Let's maybe let him just be a defender. He looked pretty decent as a defender, but maybe I'm speaking too soon. We'll see. And Carlisle got the second goal from a corner, mate, and it maybe was another mistake by the Bolton defence, being a little bit slow to react. There was a nice corner in to the box that came towards the back post. Mellish seemed to have quite a bit of time to decide whether he wanted to smash it towards the goal or play a nice little sliced cross across the goal. And that lovely little sliced cross was met by the diving head of Mr. Ben Barkley, who scored his sort of like first pre-season goal kind of thing for Carlisle United. And does it count? Does it not count? It counts in terms of confidence, probably. It's a 2 point up against 2 goals up against a team in the division above you, just before you're going in for half time. It's positive vibes, isn't it? It's good stuff. What did you think about the goal?
I think there was a certain air of fortune about the goal. It comes to Mellish, and his first attempt comes back off Corey Whelan's arse. So it's kind of like fortunate that comes back to his feet so that he can have another go, and then he hits it quite hard across goal. It's not a particularly great cross and I think Barkley has to be a bit acrobatic to get his head on it, but does well. So there's a bit of fortune about it. There, it was a good bit of pressure because we had 2 corners. We had 2 corners in like succession after an attack started by hitting across, Dickinson. So like running down the wing, and there was a bit of fortune then as well in that Dickinson crosses it, and it looks like the Renault Carlisle attack is really threatening it, but the Bolton defender, and I don't know if it's that number 5 you were talking about, but it looks like there's some kind of miscommunication between the defender and the keeper because the defender hits it out for the corner when he doesn't really need to. So there's 3 kind of moments there where kind of like things have gone Carlisle's way, but it all came from just applying a bit of pressure to Bolton.
And there's something about that gets the atmosphere up in the stadium, that gets fans excited when you're getting the rub of the green. It does actually get people, what's the word for it, mate? It does actually get people a little bit more optimistic about things when you're actually getting a bit of good luck on the pitch, doesn't it? And there's a little bit of consistency behind the good luck, the good times, good vibes. What are you going to say?
Yeah, and the way Mellish takes the corner when it comes to him, even though I have kind of said he gets a bit lucky because it comes off Corey Whelan's arse and back to him, and then he hits it, and then he hits it across quite hard at Ben Barkley, but Ben Barkley manages to kind of direct it with his head in an awkward sort of jump that he does. But
that's very
good.
Those
things are both very John Mellish. And it's kind of like part of the Mellish magic that he never quite looks it never quite looks in control, but it does come off for him more often than it doesn't. So there must be some control there.
Just before half-time, just before Carlisle went into and there was a corner by Bolton that was met at the near post. It seemed like a nice little set-piece routine. Carlisle maybe caught a little bit napping because we're 2-0 up against a high team. So I don't want to criticise them too much. They went in for half-time, 2-0 up. And, like we were already saying, it's great, 2-0 up against a team above you. The positive times are going. But when we came out for the second half, Bolton, it was more of the same from the same way that they came out for the first half. It looked like they had a little bit more control of things. And I think the penalty decision was a little bit harsh. I feel like the defender did it as much as he possibly could to not make contact with the attacker, and the attacker just sort of went with his momentum. And I feel like it was a little bit unfair what happened there. I think it was Edmondson trying to track back in. I'm not sure. I thought it was a number 9 that I saw. I'm not 100% sure, but a little bit unfortunate. Yeah. And the goalkeeper went the right way for the penalty, but just couldn't save it, which is a little bit unbelievable for somebody that's 6'7". But there we go. Maybe a bit slow to get down to his corners there. What do you feel about the penalty, mate? Was it a little bit harsh for you? It's one of those sort of like pre-season ones, isn't it? Like they might go one way, they might go the other during the season.
You can argue against it, but you've got to be careful in the area when you're going up to attacker. He gives the attacker a bump, and situations, striker's going to go down, get the penalty, and I don't think Carlisle can really complain about that too much. If that happened in a competitive match, I think I'd probably be saying the same thing. can't really complain about it too much if you're not, if you're not careful enough in the box and you give the attacker a chance to go down like that, a bit of a bump, then he's going to go down and the referee will point to the spot. And he does, he points to the spot right away. So just need to be more careful with stuff like that.
Yeah, a little bit unlucky on that occasion. And like I said, the goalkeeper did go the right way. I could imagine a man of his frame, he's going to save a few. If we give away a few penalties, you could imagine a man of his size, he's probably going to end up saving a few penalties. Hopefully. Yeah. Don't have any of his penalty stats to hand or anything, but hopefully. I mean, the game looked like it was just going to grind itself out into a pre-season friendly, get your fitness up kind of fixture. Substitutes were becoming a little bit thick and fast, but Bolton were still trying to chip away at Carlisle a little bit, and Carlisle put up a good, nice, resilient front, and they were rewarded for that with another goal. The ball was won back in the midfield and put through into around the 6-yard box and then squared into Dennis, who kind of roughly managed to bounce the ball into the back of the net. And it shows the versatility of Dennis. It was a really nice sort of counter-attacking play. And if that's the kind of football we're going to be playing next season, I'm all for it, mate. I'm absolutely all for it. It was a nice bit of football up until the finish. The finish didn't look cool. Like if the finish looked a bit cooler, I'll give it like more of a higher mark. But it was a little bit scruffy of a finish. But hey ho, there you go. 3-1 against Bolton.
Yeah, I mean, the ball takes a deflection off a defender and bounces up at an awkward height for Dennis. So he's kind of got to get his foot into a bit of a weird position up near his stomach in order to kind of get the ball in. But it's the sort of skill that strikers have. They can get their feet into into those awkward positions in order to direct the ball towards the goal. And that's what Dennis does, and that's because he's an experienced striker. And it's sort of like potentially see Dennis and Edmondson being a good strike partnership if they've kind of got that, Dennis being the wily one and Edmondson's kind of like the more young, confident, sort of like Charlie Wyke type player.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of good attacking options at Carlisle United. In fact, why not do a Skellys shit stirrer? Since we're at the end of the match report, let's bring back another feature. Skellys shit stirrer, Wills. I'm going to ask you a provincial question. I don't know. A question.
Question.
A provoking question. A question that provokes opinion, let's say. Yeah. Who do you think is going to be Carlisle United's top goal scorer at the end of the season?
I'm going to go with Edmondson.
It's like you bet, Edmondson. I was going to go with Dennis. I feel like he's an outside favourite. I feel like Dennis is going to grind out a lot of games. It's going to be quite clinical next season. What's making you feeling so confident about Edmondson?
I just like his build and the look of him. Maybe he just reminds me a bit of Charlie Wyke. Obviously, yet to see whether he has all the skills that Charlie Wyke has. I liked his running onto the ball, and that first goal, the kind of confidence and the cool finish. Yeah, I'm pinning my hopes for this season on him.
Yeah. I don't feel like he's a player that's going to get injured a lot either. I feel like there's a lot about him. He's going to play a lot of games because he's quite young, and I don't feel like stamina is going to be an issue for him during the season. And mate, let's go out on a new feature just before we say bye to people. It's time for On This Day. And on this day in 2006, Mr. Greg Abbott joined Carlisle United for the first time as an assistant manager and quickly became a fan favourite with his direct media style. I don't remember too much of his direct media style in the early days before he became a manager. And at the moment, he does seem to be a little bit of a figure. He does seem to be a part of the Carlisle United fabric more so than Holdsworth was, taking pictures and that kind of things with new signings and press pitches with Simo and around the squad and being involved in the changing room around pre-season. He looks like a really good influence around Brunton Park, doesn't he, Mr. Greg Abbott? He seems like a really good signing. And when they first brought him in, it seemed like a bit of a no-brainer, a really good signing as well. how do you feel he's done with his summer recruitment, Wills? If you have to give him a mark out of 10.
I'd give him probably at the moment still just kind of like 7 or 8 because the job's not done yet. We've still kind of got gaps. We've not got a full squad together yet, I feel. So it's too early, I think, for me to put him anything above like 7.5.
No, that's fair.
Some of his signings look pretty good. Just hope to see I don't know, a couple more maybe.
Has there been that sign out marquee signing for you yet? Has there been that player yet? Do you think we're going to get that?
I don't know. I don't know that we kind of like really have the resources to get, as in like a player who is fresh off the back of doing well, either in this division or even the division below, if sought after enough. That kind of what you mean by a marquee signing. It's not really the sort.
Yeah, just somebody with a bit of a reputation, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure I can kind of like see us making that kind of signing right now.
Yeah. Well, wise words from Wills will close the show this week. Thank you very much for joining me for episode 67. Wills, it's been a pleasure. Did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, it's been great. Nice to have a match to talk about.
It is. We survived it though. This heat, man. This heat. Jesus.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do now to get around this heat?
I'm going to go and have a takeaway and eat it in the park.
Ooh, that nice little garden next to your house on the park.
Yeah. Rickaby Park.
Rickaby? Oh, fair, man. Fair. Well, maybe when it cools down a little bit, when I get the dog out, I might see you out and about. We'll see, Wills. We'll see. But for now, mate, there's only one last thing left for us to do. The heat's got to me, mate. The heat's got to me. There's only one last thing left for us to do, and that's to say, bye for now.
Bye for now.